Could you even begin to imagine what it would feel like to be trapped on a beach with enemy raining fire on you? What does "like a fish in a barrel" mean? Join us on our latest Cinephile episode to find out, and be sure to visit our FUNDAY website for more. What's up, movie fans? I'm Wade, your Cinephile host. Dunkirk is a 2017 war film directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, Kenneth Branagh, amongst a humongous assembled cast. Allow me to set the stage for you. During World War II, 400,000 British and French soldiers are trapped in the port town of Dunkirk. The sea is the only way out, but the Germans have air superiority, dropping bombs on the soldiers and the ships without much opposition. This is that story seen through the eyes of a soldier amongst those trapped forces, 2 Royal Air Force fighter pilots, and a group of civilians on their boats, part of an evacuation fleet.
In 1940, during the Battle of France, Allied soldiers had retreated to Dunkirk. Tommy Jensen, a young British private, is the sole survivor of a German ambush. At the beach, he finds thousands of troops awaiting evacuation and meets Gibson, who is bearing a body. After a dive bomber attack, they attempt to get aboard a hospital ship by carrying a wounded, but eventually they are ordered off. They hide out on the jetty and overhear a conversation taking place between the officers.
How's the perimeter?
Shrinking every day. Right between our rear guard and the French, we're holding the line. And the enemy tanks have stopped.
Why have they stopped?
Waste precious tanks when they can pick us off from the air like fish in a barrel.
How long does London expect the army to hold out before we make terms?
Make terms? They're not stopping here. We need to get our army back. Britain's next, and then the rest of the world.
Out of nowhere, dive bombers attack the mole and sink the ship. Tommy saves Alex, another soldier, from being crushed. With only a single vulnerable mole available for embarking on deep draft ships, the Royal Navy requisitioned civilian vessels in Great Britain that can get to the beach. In Weymouth, civilian Dawson and his son, Peter, set out on his boat, Moonstone, rather than let the Navy commandeer her. Their teenage hand, George, impulsively joins them. At sea, they rescue a shivering, shell-shocked soldier from a shipwreck. When he learns that they are going to Dunkirk, he refuses and demands for them to turn back. Dawson then convinces him to get some rest below deck.
Is he a coward, Mr. Dawson?
He's shell-shocked, George. He's not himself. He may never be himself again.
After a while, the soldier realizes that Dawson is still sailing towards Dunkirk. He demands once again that they turn back and tries to wrestle control of the boat. In the scuffle, George suffers a head injury that renders him blind.
There's no hiding from this, son.
What is it you think you can do out there on this thing?
There's not just us. The call went out. We aren't the only ones to answer, you know.
You don't even have guns.
You have a gun.
Yes, of course, a rifle, a 303.
Did it help you against the dive bombers and the U-boats?
You're an old fool. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. Turn it around.
I'm not turning around.
Turn it around! Turn it around!
Elsewhere, 3 Spitfires, tasked with defending the evacuation, cross the English Channel. After their leader is shot down in a dogfight, one of the pilots, Farrier, assumes command. But soon after, the other Spitfire, piloted by Collins, is hit and crash lands in the waters. Farrier carries on the mission and takes out enemy fighter jets, while Collins attempts to make an escape out of the Spitfire.
Afternoon.
Okay, pause. If you're confused, that's to be expected. This is a non-linear plotline with events that do not transpire in a strict chronological order. Instead, Nolan presents 3 plots across 3 time frames. 1 week away from Tommy and the fellow ground soldiers who are trying to get off the beach's perspective. 1 day away from Dawson and the little civilian boats traveling to Dunkirk to rescue the soldiers trapped. 1 hour away from the Spitfire pilots who are providing cover for the rescue mission, each starting at different points in relation to the evacuation's end. Okay, back to the plot.
Where are the destroyers?
There'll be one soon.
One.
After yesterday's losses, it's 1 ship on the Mole at a time.
The battle is here. What the hell are they saving them for?
The next battle, the one for Britain. It's the same with the planes.
But it's right there. You can practically see
Being
it.
home doesn't help us get there, Colonel.
They need to send more ships.
Tommy, Alex, and Gibson join some soldiers of a Highlander regiment, and they hide inside a beach trawler in the intertidal zone outside the Allied perimeter, waiting for the rising tide to refloat it. During the wait, German troops start shooting at the boat for target practice, and the water enters through the bullet holes. Alex, hoping to lighten the load, accuses Gibson, who has stayed silent, of being a German spy. Gibson reveals that he is French. He stole the identity of the dead British soldier he buried, hoping to be evacuated with the British.
That's Gibson, eh? Some naked dead Englishman lying out on that sand. Did you at least have the decency to bury him?
He did. I helped him. I thought it was his mate.
Maybe he killed him.
Didn't kill him.
How do we know?
How hard is it to find a dead Englishman on Dunkirk beach? He didn't kill anyone. He was just looking for a way off the sand like the rest of us.
The group tries to keep the sinking ship afloat, but not long after, they abandon ship. Gibson becomes entangled in a chain and drowns. When nearby minesweeper is sunk by a bomber, Moonstone maneuvers to take on those in the water, including Tommy and Alex. Alex discovers that George is dead and informs Peter. When asked by the shell-shocked soldier, he lies and says George will be fine, as a fleet of civilian ships arrive to rescue the soldiers at Dunkirk.
What do you see?
Home.
Farrier reaches Dunkirk just as his fuel runs out. Gliding over the beach, he shoots down a dive bomber, saving ships and troops, and lands beyond the perimeter. He sets fire to his plane before being taken prisoner by the Germans. In all, over 300,000 men are evacuated. Royal Navy Commander Bolton stays in a selfless act to oversee the evacuation of the French. Arriving back in Weymouth, the shell-shocked soldier sees George's body being carried away. Peter arranges for a local reporter to publish a story about George's role in the evacuation, calling George a hero, which he shows to his father the next day. Tommy and Alex board a train and receives a hero's welcome when the train arrives in Woking. Tommy reads Churchill's address to the House of Commons, citing the miracle of deliverance in Dunkirk.
Defend our island, whatever the cost may be.
What?
We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Christopher Nolan's utilized real boats, real planes, real location, humongous extras to immerse you into this movie, to make you feel completely taken over by it. And it works. Though there isn't much dialogue and character development, we still get a sense of a realistic take of survival in a real war situation. 接下来入标揭晓今天电影迷敦克尔克大行动 Dunkirk 要教我们些什么 Hey Ruby, can you even begin to imagine what it would be like to be trapped on that beach?
超可怕. To be trapped without a way out and enemies closing in must be overwhelmingly terrifying.
Yeah, like fish in a barrel.
Yes, like 瓮中捉鳖. Do you know other idioms related to war?
Oh, I've got one that contains the word war in it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
To wage war on someone or something, like waging war on corruption.
Oh yeah, 宣战. Have you heard of war of nerves?
Sounds familiar. Oh, it's like psychological warfare, right?
Yes, 心理战, mind games. Can also be seen in business settings.
Or the battlefield of love.
Yeah, that too.
Well, I'm Wade.
I'm Ruby.
I hope you've learned something useful in this episode of Cinephile as I did. You can find more on the FUNDAY website.
Let's make every day a fun day.
Every hour the enemy pushes closer. They've activated the small vessels pool.
Small vessels.
It's the list of civilian boats for requisition.
Civilian? We need destroyers.
Small boats can load from the beach.
Not in these conditions.
But I'd rather face waves than dive bombers.